the whole process of ideological subversion, ideologies like brainwashing you.
Yeah.
It's really four things. One is to destabilize the society, demoralize them, create a crisis, and then normalize it.
Yeah.
That's the formula. As an artist, I'm supposed to be supporting what's against the authority.
Yeah.
And as far as I can see, the most anti-authority thing is to be a conservative today.
When times get tough, you need to get down. No need to look backward, put your feet on the ground. Stand up, stand up.
Welcome to The Fallen State. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Don't forget that The Fallen State is on Patreon. So click on the Patreon link in the description to support our work. Very, very interesting guest today. Mamma Mia kind of a guest. An amazing guest. He's an artist, Arthur Kwon Lee. He's an award-winning fine artist. Thank you, man, for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Jesse.
Amazing.
I appreciate you. Yeah.
Welcome to LA.
Thank you.
It's cold in New York this time of year, right?
Very cold. It's
February right now.
Yeah, coming here is yin and yang with the weather. It's amazing. Yeah.
You want to take some of it back with you? You can.
I would like to.
So, are you a Christian or Buddhist or what?
So, in my paintings, I explore a lot of religious themes.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I have to tell you, I'm not like an artist kind of a person.
Oh, no one has to be. Yeah.
But yours is very, very interesting.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I wanted to hear your thoughts on this because I actually appreciate when people who don't have background with art,
Yeah.
Interpreting the artwork more than people who have an education with art.
Right.
Because then you're over-intellectualizing it, frankly,
Right.
and you're taking out the romanticism of it. And I actually like that better when
Yeah,
a person who doesn't
I
have
bet.
that context looks at
You
the
get the
artwork.
real feedback.
For sure.
And so, are you Buddhist or Christian or?
So I'm more of a non-denominational Christian actually,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's things that with my experience with, I've read, my father, he's a minister, and my mother, she's a composer. So I'm kind of like a visual
Nice.
fusion of them, where I'm sort of exploring different like archetypal, mythological realms of thinking.
Right.
But in my own, at a practical level, I would say I'm really a Christian, but there's parts of Buddhist thinking that I feel like are analogous. I mean psychologically.
Right.
So there's analogies and metaphors that I appreciate symbolically.
So when you decided to become an artist, did your parents try to talk you out of it? Like, no, son, no money. No,
Of
be a
course.
doctor, a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, I'm Korean, and,
Right.
and Asian. I'm Korean American. So my parents, they have a lot of the Asian temperament where they wouldn't want you to go into art. You know,
Right.
they usually want you to practice an instrument or some kind of artistry to have a rich life, not necessarily as a vocation. But I was never good at school. I never liked school.
Yeah.
So I was, they say you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. I think I only had one egg. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't want to make it seem like I was. It's just for me that was the only like way to go.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
man.
So I just went into it hard.
And so you just realized one day, I want to be an artist.
Yeah, basically.
Really? How did you decide that and I'm going to show them an example here in a minute, but how did you decide what you wanted to draw, paint?
So looking back in retrospect, there's a lot of depth to this. So there's actually political roots as to what type of art people make.
Right.
And people are actually blind to this, but you can just look at the artist right in front of you. And I would say that if you're grew up with a father at home, more conservative background, you're gonna make work that actually has a certain standard,
Yeah.
a pedagogical, universal standards versus aesthetic relativity. That's what I would say. And the social justice warriors in the left, they believe everything is, it's this mentality of deconstructionism,
Yeah.
right? Everything is relative. It's all miasmic and mystical, right? So that's gonna play out aesthetically as well.
Yeah.
So even the art they make, it's vague and it can be anything. But if you look at artwork produced by conservatives, they make work that have credibility behind it, and there's techniques and skills passed down. So for me, I was attracted to that sort of interpretation of history through modern means, you know? So that's why I'm into this language. excavating the symbolic sort of thing.
So you believe that your work your talent is on loan from God?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I feel like if God gives you a gift to produce, you should not put your ego into it.
That's right.
This has nothing to do with
Yeah,
me. This is
that's
just a
right.
discipline I have, and like I often tell people, this is just my job. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to. If you're gonna do it, do it. You know, that's kind of what's put me at my level in a way.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
It is so different from the liberals and there's nothing art. How have you been treated? What do the liberals think about your work?
So
Have you heard?
it's funny because I was talking to Ermias about this a little bit.
Yeah.
So last year, I've been in New York not for too long, but I had 6 solo shows last year, and I won Artist of the Year, and I've been getting written by a lot of these magazines that have a good following for their art world. But, we were all hanging out, and once they realized I had more of a conservative predilection, a lot of them they want to show distance from me.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm on the show, actually.
Yeah.
Because, this is a microcosm of what's happening with Gina Carano or Kanye West. Or it's the same idea where they say they're for diversity, but they don't tolerate the most important diversity, which is diversity of viewpoint.
Yeah.
So it's all a mask. So the moment I say, I'm using all the tools of the trade in regards to what we practice, but the moment they find out I have more of a conservative bend,
Yeah.
I'm not like punching a elder or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying that I just don't like government.
Yeah.
But it's so strange because artists were all about being against the government.
Yeah.
But it's like switched.
switched, it
It's
is.
very strange. Yeah.
So how old are you?
I'm 30.
Have they tried to cancel you out, what they call cancel out? Have anyone gone after you to stop you in your
Yeah,
work?
but I'm like this, like again, I'm being on it. I'm on it quickly. So I'm doing a cancel culture thing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I would say I was supposed to have some shows, and now there's like a pending conversation with one of the galleries already this year.
Man.
But it's okay. I mean, the thing is, I do believe that people in, the left really has culture down, but there's a lot of players in that same world that are on the right wing,
Yeah.
side of the aisle, but they're just not vocal.
Yeah.
And that's really the problem, I think.
That's what you're
Yeah.
right about that. And so, what do your parents think about your work when they look at it? What type of feedback you get from them?
I mean, they're like really old school sentiment.
Right.
So they don't like to get into anything deeply, which is
Yeah.
actually refreshing.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
I know
So my like if I talk to my father, he'll just say, yeah, it's good. I'm glad you're doing well, and but my mom is actually really into art history. It's they're my parents. This is boring to talk about.
You did a painting in here of Mother Mary, I believe.
Yeah, Virgin Mary.
Virgin
Yeah, yeah.
Mary. So like you just walking down the road one day, you like did a rock fall from the sky. You decide I want to do Virgin Mary, and it's so nice. How did you come up with that idea?
So I'll usually stack different. So there's 2 ways to make artwork that's, I guess, what you'd call transcendental artwork or whatever. One way is the producing, like the type of painting or sculpture, whichever medium, that's communication with the unconscious. And the other way is exploring the symbolic. And I'm more of a symbolic artist.
Okay.
Okay, and what I'm doing is, in that painting we have, different world renditions of the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
And then we have these guardian food dogs that are placed in front of temples. And, those little sculptures represent like guarding familial cohesion. That's the thing. That's why when families in Asia get those little lion, food dogs, they put them in front of their homes. Usually elders give it to their grandkids, actually.
Oh.
And when you put them together, it means to me like, society should guard, the mother and the child. That sort of idea.
Oh.
Yeah. They probably can't see that, but.
That's amazing. It's amazing. I like the colors, the way you blend it in. It's relaxing to look at.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff I look at, I'm like, everybody like I've seen the other work.
Right.
And people are like, oh, it's so nice. And I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
I can't even figure out what it doesn't even look
I
like
appreciate
anything.
that, Jesse.
So this one, what's it?
Hypergamy.
Yeah, what's that mean and what is that?
Well, hypergamy is this idea that that women are attracted to men from the top. They look from the top down. Men look at women from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it means. Like a man will be like, she looks good, and then he'll ask, is she pleasant? Was she, all these things, and a woman will say, okay, he looks like he's got some money, or he has status. Now I might want to sleep with him. It's kind of the other way around, and that's why there's a lot of symbols of vanity in conjunction to some spiritual figures.
And so all of this is in your head?
I mean, here's the thing, though. I don't think it's right for artists to take credit for this stuff because the language is already there throughout, hundreds of years of history.
Right.
You just sort of explore it and you realize it and you can put them together. And if they don't make sense, then your gut will pretty much tell you that. So
That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
So as you're sitting there drawing, right, are these different images and things just coming to you while you're painting?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not it's not like, divine intervention or anything like that. It's more of actually having the information in front of you and then excavating it.
Well, thank you for bringing me this.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's for you.
This
Hope you
is
enjoy.
absolutely amazing, man. Thanks
Yeah.
for signing as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
How long does it normally take you? Y'all got to get this, folks. Can people get this?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're out. I'm gonna put up another order on my webpage. They can look it up from there.
So how long does it take you to do one painting?
It really depends on the scale. I would say, something. It depends on the complexity and scale, but it's funny because when it comes to the entertainment part of art, it's better to just see the finished product, and because I'm not gonna. It's like watching paint dry for me to explain.
Yeah.
The actual process of painting it's almost like base reality is actually pretty boring,
Yeah.
So it's like you look at a Hollywood set, they're usually sitting around, there's acting is only a part of it. They do many sets, but then they put it together, and that's the thing, right? That's the final product of my painting. If I describe my painting, people might tune off.
What other style do you paint? I mean, is this it or?
Well, in order for me to have my own voice as an artist, I need to, I would say I'm sort of a fusion between an impressionist, like the Fauvist, and and elements of abstract expressionism. I sort of tie that together. So this is my voice as an artist.
And so this just come to you naturally. It's like you can't see anything else to do about this.
Yeah, not really. I mean, maybe I would, in another life I would have done like weightlifting or jujitsu or something like that. But
Right.
this is just all I do.
This is
Yeah.
neat, man. I
Thank
totally
you, my friend.
understand that.
I appreciate it.
I noticed that the left, they are destroying artwork. They're just coming up with junk. And so when I saw this, I'm like, wow, there's hope out there. Are there other artists out there who's doing similar or trying to be serious about their art?
Not enough, but I will say we've been under the shadow of, Andy Warhol's postmodern art movement, and technically that generation is done. So there needs to be a new sort of voice, and we don't have a word for it, but something like post-romanticism or new romanticism, something of that is going to be the next trend, because you're right about that. The first person who in our history who really put a stamp on that was Marcel Duchamp, and people don't know that he was actually a failed artist. And out of that bitterment and anger and resentment, he signed a toilet, and he called it art. And people called it bold and daring. And it's been going. He signed
a toilet.
He signed a urinal, and he
they
flipped
called it art.
He called it the fountain.
Really?
Yeah, and it's but a lot of people they clapped for him, because a lot of people probably had that same energy they were carrying. But I think there's a lot of they're out there, but they're just not vocal.
Yeah.
And that's all it is to it. You just
Because
gotta stand up.
they are afraid to be canceled, what they call canceled.
Yeah, I have a little cushion, but I mean one of my advisors told me not to come here, Jesse.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that I could be blacklisted or whatever, but that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I have a good base of collectors that are patriots, veterans. You know, they're alpha males, some mixed martial art guys, and because of that, I mean, I would rather be in that domain anyways.
That's right.
I still want to work with galleries, but look, right now the biggest problem in our society is the polarization is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
there's no logic behind it.
Why is that happening?
I mean, my opinion,
Yeah.
you know how the feminists always say, men are the worst, all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's funny
They hate
because
men.
I kind of do. I don't. They shouldn't hate men, but
Right.
but if you just read, it's all men's fault. I actually do agree with that because if there are fathers stepping up in their own twisted way, there's a reality to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all of this stuff going on, it's just all daddy issues.
Yeah.
All of it, all
Sure is.
across the board.
100%.
100%. And I think that's one reason why I like painting cultural notions, because one thing you'll notice across every culture is the trope of mother nature, father culture.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of painting cultural motifs because it's bringing back, again, art is just a different medium, you know? You're using a medium of YouTube. It's just another way of communicating the same spirit. So
You're so right, man. That's why for the last 31 years now, we have been rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man, because it's definitely a father's issue. And when the men are weak and not running the family the way they should, everybody end up screwed up and divided and angry, and all kinds of things happen.
I agree.
Amazing. Do you think we can turn this around?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so because, you know, one man waking up goes a long way.
It sure does.
And I'll put it this way. It's like, so my old studio before I moved to New York City was in Adams Morgan in Washington, D.C. Right by the Women's March when President Trump won. Okay? So I turn my music off. This is a true story. I sit down and I'm not painting. I put my brush down. I hear the spraying noise. I'm like, what the hell? I don't spray, right? And I go downstairs because it's pretty quiet. It's like very post-industrial, so I can hear other floors.
Right.
I go downstairs, and this person's like just spray painting on my storefront. I'm like, fuck patriarchy, all this stuff.
Whoa.
And I'm like, what I gotta pay for that,
Yeah.
you know? And then first of all, like I'm not white, whatever he was writing on there, but the whole notion is that this whole Women's March, they got together, they shout, they scream, they cause damage, but nothing changes.
Yeah.
Imagine if a third of men got together and did that. Revolutions. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Good point.
But it's just about
Good point,
adding up and yeah, they got to do the right thing, you know?
Why don't men organize like that and get out there and protest, fight to change the
Because
laws?
they're getting kindness and strength and weakness confused.
Oh.
Yeah. They think that by being, you know, someone might be pushing them instead of saying, you know, standing up for themselves and saying, you got to stop.
Yeah.
They're kowtowing to it, and they're thinking that they're being mean, when it's nothing further from the truth.
So you grew up closer to your father?
I grew up with both parents
Both
at
parents,
home.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's a saying in again, I'm an American,
Right.
but I'm just saying also there's a saying in Korea
Right.
that you should select your partner or, you know, wife. I know you don't like that word.
Don't say partner.
Got you. No, but the saying goes that you should select your partner like your future child has a deciding vote,
Nice.
right?
I like that.
So my father was always family oriented, you know, but he's an old school like military guy, and so he knew that he wanted to move to America legally, go into the suburbs and raise a family.
Yeah.
Like he had that model in his head, and he did it. So he was big on that. So I grew up under that model.
Nice, man.
You know?
Do you believe there's racism?
I don't call it racism.
What do you call it?
I don't have a word for it. I just call it weakness.
Yeah.
To even look at it that way. You know, like right now there's all this hashtag Stop Asian Hate.
Yeah.
Whatever
I was
that
asking about
is.
that.
Yeah, I don't.
For the record, they're knocking out the blacks are going into the
Right.
Asian communities and knocking out Asian people, robbing them, stealing them. And in San Francisco, they'll let the blacks right out. They'll put them in jail, but they let them right back out, and they go back into the same area and knock out Asian people, rob them. What do you think about all
Well,
that?
it's not a black, Asian, white thing to me.
Well, that's who's doing it, though.
Well, here's the thing. I keep mentioning Korea just because I have so much family there,
Right.
so I visit there.
Yeah.
If you go to Korea, all the people causing trouble, and they're all one race for the most part. I mean, there's some American bases there,
Yeah.
but all the people causing trouble in Korea, the demographic, they're all on welfare. They're all raised by single mothers. So it's
That's
the
a
same
good point, man.
situation.
Yeah.
So I go to Korea almost every year because of my family. So much is there, and it's the same problem there, but it's raised by the same standards,
Yeah.
right? And it's lacking that source. And I mean, what I would say, because they just had this New York like Asian rioting on the streets crap like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, like for me, the elders I know in Korea and all this, like the pride that Asians have isn't that they don't like to paint themselves as a victim. So this is counterintuitive. So when I heard that, I went, oh, come on, what is this? Like I'm just not into any of that. It's like you're just making excuses and not standing up. But here's the thing, I will say though, I don't want it to get there, but Asian custom is to be very respectful and nice until they're not. And if they push too much, then they're just going to go on the roofs and start shooting. And not even in a scary way.
Yeah.
It's just more like in a problem-solving way.
Yeah.
It's not scary. They're like they'll become like robots and just yeah. So
They will protect themselves.
yeah.
if
But
you
I don't
push
want it
them
to
too
get there.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah, we'll see.
And so, what do you think about Black Lives Matter and all these people blaming
Not a
white
fan.
people for everything? Everything is white supremacists. Everything is the white man's fault. What do you think about that?
Well, let me first say, again, as an artist, I'm not gonna pretend like I understand economics, politics, anything like that.
Right.
I don't want to even act like that. I'm a romantic, actually. I'm not an intellectual or any of this stuff.
Okay.
So, I always tell people I was pushed to the right. I didn't even when people would ask me, this is before I was even that interested in politics. When people would say are you a conservative or a liberal? I would tell people I was a liberal, but it was really because I just didn't know anything.
Right.
That's what I came to see. And then I realized that, no matter, the only argument that they had was calling the other side a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe who hates the poor.
Yeah.
That's all they had. And
Yeah.
I was like, that's not a conversation. And then finally, if I was to push back any question, they would oust me the same way. So I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. So I got to the point where I tell people I was pushed to the right. Because I was not even that much of a politically motivated person. I'm in a tunnel vision of enjoying painting.
Yeah.
I'm literally painting. That's what I'm doing. But I tell people I was pushed to the right. So, that's just how I feel about it. I think that Black Lives Matter, my experience with them has been nothing but hostile. It's been nothing but hostile.
Amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Why do you think they're allowed to get away with it? I noticed that all summer of last year, 2020, they burned down cities and businesses. They were stealing wash machines and different things from stores.
Yeah.
There were some people killed in that. But they seem to be getting away with it. Where if it was white people doing it, it would be a different story.
Oh, well, for sure.
So why are they letting Black Lives Matter get away with it, you think?
I think that good people, again, I could be wrong, but I think it's the kindness, weakness thing I told you about. I think that they don't want to come off as the bad guys by saying, hey, knock that off.
Yeah.
But we got to do it now before it gets worse.
Yeah, and they will, too, if you don't stop
It's
it.
going to get worse. I will say I had the conversation with a friend of mine, and we were having this same conversation where he's saying that these are not riots, this is a protest.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, once it's
I know.
$20 million worth of property damage during the George Floyd riot, is that a riot or a protest? He said it's a protest. I'm like, I can't talk to you.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know
It's
what
just
you
like,
mean.
it's at some point, I mean, common sense ain't common right now.
Yeah.
That's
for
all it is,
sure.
yeah.
Are you a beta or alpha male?
Alpha male.
You're an alpha male.
Yeah.
Have you ever been a beta male?
I've been a beta male, 100%.
And what made you beta, and how did you overcome it?
I just started speaking up for what's right. That's really all it is. And I didn't care. It was like more of a no matter what.
Yeah.
If people do something to me, it doesn't matter. And yeah, I don't even have an intellectual answer for you. I just grew into it where I realized that I don't care if people attack me this, that, and the other. I mean,
Yeah, man.
it is what it is.
That's right.
You know? But actually, I wanted to hear your thoughts on something. So, you know, biology, the study about, it proves this notion that you talk about with alpha and beta to the point where, I don't know if you've thought of this. Have you heard of R versus K selection theory?
No.
So it's interesting. So if you look at any animal that you would regard as like alpha, lions, tigers, whatever it is, right? The most idyllic version would be a wolf, right? Because a wolf, they're monogamous, highly selective. They grow up in a harsh condition, promotes competition, free market sort of competition lifestyle, and they have a high investment in their children, and they delay gratification.
Really?
So they have a family model or a pack strategy. You look at a beta, the most extreme animal would be like a bunny. They're non-monogamous, right? There's grass everywhere, free resources everywhere. If you're a bunny and you're eating grass here and I start eating grass here, you don't need to fight me. There's no point of competition. You can just eat grass over here. So their whole goal is to make more bunnies out of grass, right? And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So actually, nature dictates this, and it is science until proven otherwise.
Right.
But the whole idea that they're pro-science and all this, and they ignore big parts of, you know, they have blank spots in regards to being morally upright when science will even support some of these ideas is kind of a contradiction.
Interesting,
you know?
man. What do you think about the virus, the Chinese virus?
The Kung flu?
Yeah.
It's whatever. I think it's blown out of proportion. I really do. That's all it is.
So are you offended when I call it Chinese virus?
I don't care.
Because a lot of people, don't call it Chinese, the liberals. Don't call it Chinese because you offend the Chinese. But
Okay.
you don't feel that way.
I mean, I think it is what it is. I mean, it's we've called every plague based on
Where it came
where
from.
it came from. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, like, I will tell to any Asian person listening that like, the whole thing is that like, don't let the left get you
Yeah.
with this because and it's happening in Korea right now. You know, it's craziness, but it's all
that
lies.
is happening?
Yeah, I mean, the single motherhood rate is just going up.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, but this is cross-continentally, right? But I think that it's like we got to be careful with that. You know?
Are Asian mothers controlling?
Yeah, they're like black women.
I figured that.
No, but you know what? Actually,
I was surprised about the Mexicans. I deal with a lot
Yeah.
of Mexicans now.
Okay.
The Mexican mothers are as mean and controlling as the black mothers are. And I used to think the black mothers was out of control, but it seems to be across the board now.
You know what? It's funny because in my experience, black women and Hispanic women, they're more outwardly aggressive.
Right.
But then actually, when you get past that, their love is actually very pure and very sweet.
Their
once
love?
You get once you get past that.
Where is that?
No. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like they'll come at you, like you know, they'll be more like you know, more direct about it. But like
Yeah.
Asian and white women, they'll be more like. It's more back end, not front end.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've noticed. So
Yeah.
when you say are they aggressive and controlling, I would say yes, but like a different texture. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes
yeah.
sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I know a lot of guys that are married to Asian women,
Yeah.
and the Asian woman seems so sweet. Oh, see?
Oh.
No.
No, don't fall for that.
But behind closed doors, they're raising hell.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The doors closed, and they'll
Yeah.
be like, yeah, your mom's breath stunk. You're like, what?
So have you ever dated a white woman?
So I almost only dated a white woman before.
Ooh.
No, but it was.
Ooh.
You know what it
Not
was?
bad.
It was. I grew up in McLean, so I was like the only Asian guy. So like I just was surrounded by only white people for the most part.
What is it like dating white women?
I just didn't know. Like I was literally like the only Asian guy in the school.
So even though
So-
did you think you were white because you're the
No.
only white? The
No,
Asian-
it wasn't that. It was just I was just dating these white girls. But I wasn't what you call a slut maker. I was not.
You're not. So have you ever been a slut maker?
Yes, well, I mean, yeah, I guess I was a little bit.
Are you a slut maker now?
No, I'm not.
You're not a slut maker.
Yeah,
You're not a slut maker.
I'm not.
Oh, good. And so, have you dealt with a lot of sluts?
I think at the time I would not have thought they were,
Yeah.
but looking back, yeah.
Now that you're known, you're popular, your artwork is out there, do you get a lot of sluts approaching you?
Yeah, but it's that lowers my level, man.
Oh,
You
yeah?
know what I mean? Yeah. You know, I don't. And also, I'm dating you know, a girl who I'm vibing with right now. So,
Vibing with?
you know, she's a good girl.
Is she white?
She's Japanese.
Oh,
You know.
so is this your first Japanese?
No, I dated other Asian women before this girl, but this girl, she doesn't want to be a man.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean?
I
so,
do.
So I don't like, and she understands that I think the biggest problem that these girl power people are getting confused with is they're getting equality and identicality mixed up.
Yeah.
And she knows that she feels way happier and freer and more powerful than all these girls in New York who are, you know, who think they're hot and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But she looks at them like they're fools.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, good girl, you know.
So would you like to one day get married, not necessarily to her or anybody in mind, but get married and start a family?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever dated a black girl?
I did briefly.
You did?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I was in, I was in college, and she messaged me quite a bit, and I was single, and I said, yeah, we'll go out. Yeah, but it was only a couple dates, you know.
How was that?
5-6 dates. I just didn't work out.
Were you were able to deal with her?
Yeah.
Did she have an attitude?
Yeah.
And you sweating, huh? You were able to deal with the attitude?
I cut it off.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. She had more personal things to deal with.
Well, you know, once you go black, you can't go back.
I broke that rule.
So you were into martial arts at one time, or are you still into that?
I do it more for fun now, but before I did painting, I was, you know, my father was ex-military, you know, doesn't talk much, you just do what he says kind of guy.
Right.
So he put us into Taekwondo, and for us, all the other kids doing Taekwondo, they were just doing Taekwondo,
Right.
go home and do homework. For us, you have to make the national team. You have to compete as a hobby.
Really?
Yeah, so I had to get into it at that level. So yeah, I got third in the nation twice. I have.
Really?
Yeah, I got a lot of medals and trophies, but I just don't. I wasn't actually that into it. I just was very good at beating people up. You know, but yeah, but you know, I always tell people I put down the sword and I picked up the brush. You know, because now I'm putting those same principles in my painting. So.
Do you still do it sometime though? Just
Yeah,
for,
yeah. I'm more into judo and jiu-jitsu now. I think it's much more holistic than. I mean, it's a much more complete form. Even if there's no striking, it's much more fulfilling for me to do judo and
And
jiu-jitsu.
what's the difference? I mean, in the two, in what way are they different?
Oh, at a technical level, there's striking martial arts and there's grappling, right? So there's actual punching and kicking, and then there's chokes and takedowns. And I'm more into grappling because, you know, in striking, you can be going like 20, you can be in a boxing ring and go 20, 30%, and you can still hurt people because
Right.
they're throwing your bones, right?
Right.
But in grappling, we can go 150% and we'll be fine. because we're not throwing fists or legs at each other.
Right.
So it allows us to really. That's why it's more of a hobby for me. I'm doing it more as an exercise. So I'm just general fitness and being able to keep doing my vocation now. So it just fits. Its
Nice,
place, yeah.
man. What is a man?
A person who stands up for what's right and has order.
And what is love?
The absence of hate.
The absence of hate. Did you vote for the Great White Hope?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow. and were your friends surprised by that?
I lost a lot of friends.
I bet.
Yes. So I mean, I don't have like a huge following on Instagram or whatever. I mean, it's okay.
Right.
But I put up a story, just of my support, and I lost hundreds. It was great.
Really? So the Asian community, are they pretty conservative or liberal?
This is my point. You look at Asians live conservatively, right? They're all about the family model, right? They're all about building up from the ground up. So they in practice they're conservatives, but they vote liberal. And that's the same with the Jewish community,
Yeah, I
same with the
noticed
black
that.
community.
Yeah.
Like it's so strange that they get to your emotions and then it just castigates your thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you look
That
at the
is so
way,
true.
if you look, actually most people, like common sense tells you to live, to protect yourself,
Right.
to love your kids and to work hard. Common sense tells you that.
Yeah.
So you'll be living like that, then suddenly they'll say, hey, that guy, he wants to hurt you, and then they'll get you boiling, and then you don't use your head anymore. But Asians, East Asians, let's just say, Singaporeans, Japanese, Koreans, they live very conservative in practice, but they all vote. They're actually, a lot of them are voting liberal now.
And how would you describe Donald Trump, President Trump? How do you see him?
Politically incorrect and refreshing for that reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's so funny because people are saying, yeah, but he's never been a politician. I'm like, that's my
That's
point.
what's nice about it.
That's my point.
That's why I love him.
I wouldn't want an artist or anything like that, but my point is, if you should have won somebody who knows business,
Yeah, that's right.
and what's going on right now, it should be interesting.
Were you aware of him, Donald Trump, before he ran for president?
Yeah. That's the thing. Everyone knows Trump.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This is another point about Trump that people should understand, that everyone loved him before he ran.
Sure did.
And not only did they love him, but he was rap's like favorite person. He's in
Yeah.
like every rap song. But it's important to know that the reason why everyone hates him is because he was a defector from this
Right.
global elite.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he was in that circle and he left.
Yeah.
And then he got into politics. And people go, yeah, but he was in that circle. I'm like, yeah, but the reason why they're all bad-mouthing him now is because, like he said, you guys are,
I know.
yeah.
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 So you think he'll be back?
If he wants to,
Yeah.
if he wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The attack upon the president and his supporters, what do you think of all that?
Well, today just today there was a Pew poll, and they asked everyone who voted left-leaning, what is the biggest threat to America and that you're worried about today? And there was everything on the chart, from like, what was it, like sexism and coronavirus, everything. And the number one thing that was written was Donald Trump supporters. And
Really?
that's worrisome.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, because if you're gonna, you're basically saying, I can't tolerate 50% of this country. Just stay home.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think it's interesting. I think that the new punk rock, or the new I don't want to say cool because cool makes it uncool, but the new punk rock is being conservative.
Yeah.
Instead of wearing a leather jacket and beat a chain or whatever, you wear a MAGA hat, and then see how much hate you get.
Yeah.
That's the most anti-authority thing you can do today, because the dominant narrative is white people are bad, men are evil. It's a whole plethora of lies.
Yeah.
So I think that it's so funny because as an artist, I'm supposed to be supporting what's against the authority.
Yeah.
And as far as I can see, the most anti-authority thing is to be a conservative today.
I know.
So that's why a lot of young people, Generation Z, millennials, we're screwed. but Gen Z is predicted to be one of the most conservative generations, even though there's also a lot of muddiness in that. But
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that, and I've heard that Generation Z seems to be different than millennials, and that they are more for what is right,
Yeah.
rather than just going along with the okie doke.
Well, I did a workshop with these kids in Maryland. It was just an art workshop, and a lot of these kids, what I'm seeing though is because we got to talk and snack time and whatever it is, and these are high school kids,
Yeah.
and a lot of them, what they're seeing though is that they get to see the college campus stuff on YouTube, or Shapiro doing a lecture at some college, and then people freaking out and throwing fire alarms. And
Right.
so they're seeing that. They're not even in college yet. They're just seeing this, and they're going,
Like, what
this
the?
is a pattern here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go off that. So, but at the same breath, unfortunately, a lot of them are being brainwashed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this stuff is getting normalized because, the whole process of ideological subversion, ideologies like
Yeah.
brainwashing you,
Yeah.
it's really four things. One is to destabilize the society, demoralize them, create a crisis, and then normalize it.
Yeah.
That's the formula. That's what they
deep,
want to
man.
do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You paying attention. That's amazing.
I mean, it's right in front of you. It's like it's
That is
madness.
amazing.
Yeah.
Why don't the white people speak up, you think?
I ask this a lot. I don't know. I think they better think of their family,
Yeah.
and then they may get more I don't know, fireballs, whatever.
Gonads.
Gonads, yeah. Because like really like the anti-white thing is getting crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it
they're
is.
looking for systemic racism everywhere.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, my kin, Asians, we make way more than most white people on average.
Yeah.
And but they're not gonna say, but the Constitution wasn't written in Korean, right? So they can't say systemic racism or any of that thing. But the whole reality is that like they got to they got to speak up,
I know there was a Al Sharpton, you know who he is,
Yeah.
and Representative Lou, I believe that's his name, from New York.
Beta.
I know, beta. They held a press conference the other day blaming the knockout of the Asians, the attack upon the Asians. They were trying to blame it on white people, and we were looking at the TV, and it's just blacks doing it, right?
Oh, yeah?
And they're trying to blame it on white people. And Lou said, I believe his name Lou, they are doing it because of the color of my skin and the slant of my eyes. And Al Sharpton like, white supremacy got to stop. But it's not white people doing it. It's the
I don't
blacks
know.
doing
I
it.
didn't see that video, but
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
I talked
'cause-
about it on the show.
Okay.
And I'm like, they don't know that we see that as black people.
Really?
They call everything white supremacy. Like the people just going to fall for it, and far too many people do.
Wow. There you go.
And white people just, they're teaching classes that you're too white, all that kind of stuff, right? And the white people just going along with it. It's like, for 31 years, they've been on the run. I know they're afraid
and
of-
this is another thing I've noticed, so during the George Floyd riots, there's one of the bigger locations for the damages was Northern Brooklyn. So my art studio is in Williamsburg, so I always commute there.
Yeah.
And so I had to go through some of the damages caused. And here's another thing. There are like a vast majority of Black Lives Matter are white liberals.
Yeah.
They're
it's
not even black
mind-blowing.
people.
Yeah.
It's like what? You know what it is? It's like the modern blackface.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're just gonna call
That's
it
a
Black
good
Lives
one.
Matter,
Yeah.
but they're using that as a guise for their liberal agenda.
But those whites that are supporting Black Lives Matter don't realize this is evil.
Yeah.
And if those whites ever disagree with Black Lives Matter or try to lead the movement on their own, Black Lives Matter is going to turn on them too. Because They don't just hate conservative whites, they hate all whites, but they'll use the whites, let them be a part of it just to get where they want to go, but they'll still turn on the whites if they don't agree with them. It doesn't matter how liberal you are.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
and so these white liberals who are going along with it don't realize they are helping these folks to destroy them. It's not going to pay off in the long run.
You know, so I did have a theory about this. It's like a lot of them are, you know, these white liberals that are franticking on the streets too. It's like, if you see their background, they come from very privileged places.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they're so spoiled and they have so much that they don't have a grasp of reality. That was one theory I had because, you know, a lot of them they come from like, kind of like middle to upper class white families.
Yeah, I know.
And they're out on the streets doing this.
Yeah.
And maybe they feel guilty about, you know, not having to work for their situation. I don't know. Like, this is me theorizing.
No, I know what you mean.
I don't know. It could be that, but like, yeah, I mean, it's very strange.
Antifa and all those people, what do you think about Antifa?
Not a fan.
Yeah.
They're the worst of them all
I know.
right now. You know, yeah, they're very deranged. They're very deranged.
It's amazing. I got to heat this up and put my guests on the hot seat. I got to put you on the hot seat.
Great.
You heard of the hot seat?
Yes, I have.
If you haven't, you will now. So what I need is for you to answer these questions as quickly as possible.
Oh, okay.
All right?
The hot seat.
Is the Illuminati controlling America?
Maybe.
Globalism or nationalism?
Nationalism.
I saw a report today, and I reported on it. 100 Christians, what do they call themselves? Evangelical
okay.
Christians signed a letter calling white Christians Christian nationalism, Christianity nationalism or something like that. And that implying that if you are a Christian and you're white and you love America, you're a nationalist. And they were comparing them to what happened at the Capitol and other stuff that's happened.
Okay.
They are now attacking Christianity. Oh, I'll ask you that after this. Who has more privilege, black people or gay people?
Right now, I mean, they're both pretty privileged.
Have you ever done LSD?
Yes.
Who is your personal hero? You have?
I
What
didn't.
the-
I mean, this is the first time
You're
I'm
a
actually
college
saying
kid.
publicly, but I have done psychedelics. Yeah.
Really? You smoke pot?
I used to a lot.
You don't smoke anymore?
I don't do anything now.
Really?
Sober. I have a cigar sometimes, but
I have a joint.
give me it.
Who is your personal hero, living or dead?
I don't know if I have a hero.
Should transgenders be allowed to play in women's sport?
No way.
Is it racist for white Americans to be proud of their heritage?
No.
In one word, describe Joe Biden.
Weak.
Do you believe heaven is real?
Depends how you define it.
Is it normal to have anger?
Today.
Do you have anger?
I get frustrated sometimes, but not really.
Better. Now play. Did you have fun?
Can I put you in the hot seat? Yes.
Yes, you can.
Did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself?
No. Oh, personally, I don't believe he did.
Is Pizzagate real?
Pizzagate?
Pizzagate, is it real?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Women can vote, but should they?
No.
What's the spiritual or psychological difference between Christ and Buddha?
Oh, I interviewed a Buddha guy today, so interesting. It seemed as though Buddha is looked upon as God, but there's a God above us all who created all, and that's the difference.
Cool. Would you rather fight 100 baby duck-sized Joe Bidens or one Joe Biden-sized baby duck?
It would be easier. It would be.
I'll just stomp on a bunch of them.
It would be harder to fight 100. Well, Joe Biden is not even a fight though.
That's true. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, it's hard. It'd probably be harder with the men than it would with Joe Biden.
That's true. That's
Joe
true.
Biden doesn't even know he's in America right now.
He doesn't know.
He think that that woman, Kamala Harris, is president, and he's working for her.
That's scary.
I know.
Did you have fun?
I had a ball.
Oh,
thank
beautiful.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, man. Tell the people how to get your artwork and visit your location,
Yeah,
your website, your YouTube.
You can
whatever
find me
got
on.
going.
I don't do Twitter or any of that. I just have an Instagram because it's an image board, and my website arthurkwonlee.com. And listen. I appreciate and admire your consistency, Jesse. You're an American hero, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, my producer Kelly, she was showing me some of your work on before we had you here, and it's really. And I was looking at this today. It is very interesting. And I'm not an art person, believe me. I can appreciate it, but this is more like the real deal than any work I've seen in a long, long time.
Thank you so much.
So it's definitely real talent, and I love real talent.
Appreciate
because
you.
real talents come from God. It's not just junk stuff.
Yes, let me shake your hand.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in. I absolutely appreciate it. Don't forget to like, follow, tweet, ring the bell, and check out the merch. Amazing merch. And check us out on Patreon as well. Let me hear from you. I do appreciate it. Thank you, man.
My pleasure.
Thanks for watching The Fallen State. We need your continued support. Donate to my nonprofit here. Subscribe and like the videos here. And tell everybody and their mama about the show. Good hot seat for me.
Yeah, I just thought I'd switch it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd switch it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta take. Yeah.
Okay, cool.